It's literally a case study in what not to do. Tempers flared, emotions rose. Like, we would have these meetings where somebody would like storm out. I mean, it got really, really ugly. And I know for a fact that a lot of LinkedIn people were like, poor Emily, what on earth was she thinking?
Yeah, each time I'm coming on the stage is a different chair. Anyway, the small things. Emily,
Yes.
so glad you can join us.
I'm so happy to be here.
We've worked together for decades.
I know. I have so many good memories of working with Reid at LinkedIn. I feel so lucky. And all these little bits come back to me when I'm working at Coinbase, where I'm like, oh, this is how Reid described network effects. This is why we didn't want to do this acquisition. And so I just feel very, very grateful that I got to work with you for so long.
Likewise. And so let's start with kind of when you joined Coinbase, it was not the obvious giant that it is today. It was kind of oh, that's an interesting technology project. I wonder exactly what its impact on society is going to be. What has that journey been like for you?
Yeah. I had been at LinkedIn for nearly 9 years and had been there when it was private, public, owned by Microsoft, and had gotten to be on that journey. And I kind of felt like I needed a new challenge because I wanted something that would make me a little uncomfortable. And crypto was very hot. It was definitely not mainstream, but it was starting to like bubble up. And I met with Brian Armstrong, our founder and CEO, and I kind of just got shivers down my spine. I was like, I don't fully understand exactly everything here, but I feel like I have to be a part of it and I want to learn it. And so I joined basically at the top and then went like this. There were...
That's Bitcoin price.
That's Bitcoin price.
Yes.
There were like 15 new leadership members at Coinbase we'd all come from different companies. None of us had worked in crypto before. None of us had ever worked together before. It's literally a case study in what not to do. Tempers flared, emotions rose. Like, we would have these meetings where somebody would like storm out. I mean, it got really, really ugly. And I know for a fact that a lot of LinkedIn people were like, poor Emily, what on earth was she thinking? And I just kept my head down. My whole strategy in life is I'm not always the smartest person in the room, but I like to be with the smartest people in the room. And I looked around and the smartest people in the room.
That's very smart, but yes.
The smartest people in the room were delighted that it was a crypto winter. They were like, Balaji Srinivasan and Dan Romero and these people, they were like, yeah, this is the time we all build. And it's all the mercenaries get out of the space. It's like the best time ever. And so I just put my head down and tried to help fix problems. I actually came in a lateral move. So I was head of corp dev at LinkedIn and then head of corp dev at Coinbase. And at the end of my first year there, which was really, really quite volatile, we came up for air and Brian promoted me to president and COO. And I think the board was like, hey, don't you want to get some big name out there? Like, the company's in good shape now. Like, there's a lot of options. And he was like, no, because Emily was there through the worst parts and she proved that she could actually operate during that. So it's through those things that you end up becoming stronger and getting rewarded in an outsized way, I think.
Yeah. And very smart move by Brian. And so what are some of the operating lessons that you've learned from that switch? What are some of the kind of cadences that you would say, because, crypto is a very difficult, it's regulatory, we'll get into that, policy, We'll get into that. But it's like, what are the navigations and principles that you've developed in this?
Yeah. So I've stolen a ton of lessons from you and Jeff, just to say it, because I've learned from the best.
That's learning, but they sound
Totally. So I believe very much in scaling processes early, scaling documents early. And the reason that I believe this is because if everybody knows the system when you're a little startup and then you grow bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, everybody can use that system and it can extend. So snarky people would say, a Rapid, which is a document we use for decision-making, that's so big company. And I have the exact opposite thing, which is if you have everybody using the same document for decision-making, you know how to get a decision made. You're not left kind of waiting for some passive-aggressive manager to make a decision. You have a system. And we try to do it with a 48-hour ETA of Everybody puts their input into this document. There's one decision maker, and they have to make the decision within 48 hours unless there's some, extraneous circumstance. So I believe those things help you run a lot faster, even if they feel a little, office spacey. And rapid is
should
one
have been more of a laugh. You do know what office space is, right?
Maybe I'm dating myself. Maybe. And we have documents like that. So rapid is for decision making. I think that's one of the most important things we have. We have another document called problem proposed solution. So one of the other things I find happens in companies is that we all tend to complain about the way somebody else does something, but we're not willing to say it to their face. We say it behind their back. And at Coinbase, we don't believe in having political behavior. We believe you say it to the person's face. And the best way to do that is in writing. So maybe the head of HR, you're really irritated by their performance process and everybody's bitching about it behind their back. Okay, write it out. It should take 5 minutes to write out. Problem, I think our performance process sucks. These are the reasons why. Proposed solution. Why do you write the proposed solution? Because you don't just bring the problem. You actually have to bring a solution that you think is meaningfully better. Like you want to imbue the qualities of positivity and actually being constructive as opposed to just bitching about something. And similarly, another thing which Ben Horowitz espouses, which I think is fantastic, is shocking rules. So any company should have things known about it that are specific to the company. So here's an example. We once had an executive, we were writing up the values document, and he was like, let's have collaboration be a key feature of our values. And I was like, what does that really even mean to you in terms of like, do you think collaboration and somebody's going to know immediately that's Coinbase? I don't think so. And in some ways, I actually think over collaboration, and this is something you taught me, like I think it ends up adding a functional tax that I don't think is always right. So one of our really controversial, shocking rules was no politics at the office. And we launched that in 2020. We had a lot of haters. I mean, if you look back at the press now, it's shocking to read what other CEOs said and how people reacted. And I think now it's like a snooze fest. It's like a no-brainer. Everybody agrees that was probably the right thing to do. But at the time, it was very known that it was like a Coinbase thing. And I think that it's nice to have shocking rules that help your team form a culture that they're really inspired by. I also believe in the concept of DRIs. So at Coinbase, it's a fireable offense to start a committee without explicit approval by Brian or myself. And the reason for that is that committees, I think, in general, are like a way to diffuse responsibility instead of having one throat to choke. You can have people create input for this stuff.
By the way, it's not my favorite expression.
I'm realizing how I'm sounding in this, like a little hardcore, but it's true. It's
directly responsible.
Yeah, a directly responsible individual, like the person who really owns it. And I think it creates autonomy. It helps empower a person. It also helps us look back. This is a Ray Dalio theory of like, you can look back at data and see who was the one who actually made the right decisions most of the time and why. Like, what does that tell you about that person? What does it tell you about wrong decision making, all that kind of stuff? And I could go on and on about this, but my other thing I have to throw out because I feel like it's such a LinkedIn thing that I learned, which was like, talent is the number one operating priority, period. Like it should be for any great company. And you should think about how you tailor it to your company. So for us, we believe in cognitive and cultural tests, and we give those assessments. We have a veto right by Brian or me for any new hire. We personally review every new person, and there's a packet, and it kills the recruiters. It's an insane amount of information about the person's profile, how they scored on those tests, what the interviewer feedback was, all that kind of stuff, and then we make a final decision. But it really is important that you care at that level, that you're still going to keep doing that even when the company is 5,000 people. And then similarly with performance management, how are you making sure that the lowest performers are managed out and that you're rewarding the highest performers? I think talent was the biggest thing I learned at LinkedIn.